Yeah, you live in a big mansion out there, right? You don't need any help from anybody.
No Jiffy.
I'm pretty lucky where we actually have built our house 8 years ago. So, well, I didn't build it. No.
Awesome. How's the build of the Edmonton Oilers here? We see some faces going out. It's July 2nd. No race for Connor McDavid to sign a new long-term deal. So what are your overall thoughts on the last, little over 24 hours?
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer that July 1st is where more mistakes than good moves are made historically. Like, there's the odd one. Zach Hyman worked out really well for Edmonton, but Edmonton has about 10 other free agent signings that you'd be like, oof, those didn't pan out. And so Edmonton, I think, took a pretty cautious approach here. To me, I look at the Oilers and I look at their regular season team last year, and then I look at their roster for their regular season upcoming, and I don't see it being much different. I actually think their defense is probably better because Jake Wallman will be here to start the year in their top five. And, you know, guys like Evander Kane didn't play all regular season, so, you know, they didn't have him last year. So now basically they have Trent Frederick in the regular season. They'll have Mangiapane, who's probably, I think, going to bring a little bit more offense than can he replace 40-year-old Corey Perry's offense, which is crazy to think that Perry scored that much. But, you know, I look at Edmonton and they'll have some new guys. Matt Savoy, they'll give him an opportunity. Thomas Sek, they'll give him an opportunity. So there's a few question marks, yeah, but they're kind of similar to last year. And honestly, guys, did any team in the Western Conference really improve?
Did Vegas improve?
Like, they
Not sure LA
improved,
did. Yeah.
right? They improved Marner, but they lost Pietrangelo and Haig. And so you bring in Lazon and I guess Korsak. So I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know if any of the top teams, Dallas didn't get way better. Colorado didn't get way better. Edmonton didn't get way better. They're kind of the same, right? So I think the regular season in the West is going to be about, you know what, who finds their holes and then which GM makes the best moves at the deadline.
So not overly concerned about any of, was it Brown? Who are the guys who all left? Is it four guys? Perry, Brown,
Arvidsson.
you know best.
Arvidsson.
Perry, Brown, Arvidsson, and Jeff Skinner are gone. So they bring in Matt Savoy. They bring in Mangiapane. I think to me, they bring in Frederick. He played 7 minutes in the regular season last year, right? So to me, he's a new regular season guy. And then Thomas Sek.
Yeah. So full season with a couple of those guys. The Frederick contract is a good commitment to a player that I really like, and I think that there's a lot more to be found. How much of this is yet to be filled in as they move towards trying to get over the hump and win this Stanley Cup? Is there still more to come for them, or are they built good enough now?
No. I think, and I wrote this before free agency. It's hard to get your, like, look at Florida. We could argue Florida won the cup because of their trade deadline moves in Jones and Marchand, right? Now, it obviously helps that you can exceed the salary cap in the playoffs. Let's make no bones about that. But it's legal. It's in the rules, but that helped them. I look at Edmonton, and at the trade deadline, I think they're going to look at three things. Are their goaltenders more secure? If not, they're going to get a goalie. A second pair right defenseman and a winger. They'll probably get two of those three depending on what's the biggest need.
How fast do they need to get a goalie here? Is it just to appease Connor McDavid? Can they wait? Last time I checked, their goalies have done a pretty good job helping them in the playoffs win rounds and get to a Stanley Cup final. So how much of a pressing need is it, and how does that compare to what's available right now?
Well, Nick, you bring up a great point, because I think there's a lot of people that forgot that Edmonton really kind of cruised to the first 3 rounds after, they had 2 bad games, and then they went 12-2, and they walloped Dallas and Vegas, 2 really good teams. Like, those series weren't even close, right? Vegas wins on an Edmonton own goal, otherwise that might have been a sweep. So, and Stu Skinner 2 years in a row was infinitely better than Jake Ottinger. He's not Bobrovsky, right? So Florida had the better goalie in the final, no question about that. So I think that they will look. I think they're going to make a change to their goalie coach, and I'm not saying that the goalie coach is the reason why, but sometimes a new voice could help. So I think that's going to come for Skinner, and then they'll see. I don't see a big rush because which goalies are truly available. Like, everybody, I saw the rumors, Jake Allen's going to get $5 million. He signed for 1.8. I know he signed for 5 years, but hell, he could have signed 2 years at $10 million and made the same amount of money. So I don't know if there's a huge glaring obvious goalie, but I think it's one they'll look at to see how Stu Skinner does. Stu Skinner, I actually thought he improved in the playoffs and that he didn't let in really soft goals. Like the third goal in Game 6, it was a terrible rebound. I don't know what he was thinking, but he didn't let in like weak goals. He just didn't make the big saves. So it's kind of an improvement. And he's a young goalie at 26. There's only 7 goalies in the NHL who are younger than Skinner and played more than 20 games last year. 7. And those guys have a combined 3 playoff games. Skinner has 50, right? Like he's still a young goalie. I know it's frustrating because you know what? He's not as good as Bobrovsky, but they're not built to have their goalies steal them games all the time. And he did steal them some games up until the final.
Yeah, it's a tough pill for fans to swallow, right? Like this one thing that they can't. It seems like they can't get right, but you're right. If he was available, there'd be people falling all over themselves to get their hands on him for the number he makes. So I hear what you're saying there. Let's talk a little bit about Evan Bouchard. Signed himself a 4-year, $10.5 million per season contract. What were your initial impressions versus the expectations for that deal?
Well, I kind of thought he was going to be a $10 million guy. So I had actually heard that, they were asking for more on a long-term deal. So 4 years, Bouchard, like this year, Bouchard's security blanket known as Matthias Ekholm wasn't there. And Bouchard was still really good in the playoffs. Actually, guys, if you go back and look, the game 5 and 6 was more Ekholm's errors than Bouchard's that cost the Oilers on those goals. So I think Evan Bouchard, like he can be a frustrating player at times because in the regular season, maybe he'll go back to a puck a little nonchalantly and people are like, oh my God, and they remember that play. But meanwhile, he'll make, 50 other good plays in the game that kind of go unnoticed. So he's the guy who shoots the puck the hardest, the most frequently, like 90-mile-an-hour shots more than anyone. He wasn't a guy who padded all his stats in the power play. He didn't have a power play goal really, I think, until February. So I think Bouchard, in what the market is today for as many points as he gets, it's what you're going to get. Can he frustrate you at times? Yes. But in the playoffs, guys, no one can argue that Evan Bouchard's playoff game is amongst the elite defenders the last few years. His goals against per 60 is actually better than Cale Makar. So I don't know if I'm that surprised by it. I guess 4 years people don't love, but in 4 years, he's either going to continue to mature and then maybe he moves on, but I'd be surprised if Bouchard doesn't give you pretty good value. He will give you a few games and a few plays that people will highlight and focus on, but I think people who do that are probably missing the vast majority of his game, which is pretty darn good.
Jason, we know the challenges on the salary cap for the Edmonton Oilers still to this day. So long-term success, a Stanley Cup, does it include Bouchard and Darnell Nurse making $20